So in any event, meanwhile, he's like, text me a photo. I texted him. He calls me. He goes, Amanda, can you text me a photo of your toe? I'm like, I didn't think it was going to come to this, but here the fuck we are.
That's $500.
No, I get the friends and family.
Oh, you're charging
Oh,
him $500 for pictures of your feet.
you're
He's not
onto
getting it for
something.
free.
We're looking to monetize
Yeah,
this
yeah.
podcast, y'all. If you're listening,
Yep.
run to the front. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Between Two Coaches. We're on a mission to make fitness more human, snark sold separately. I'm Coach Amanda, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host,
Coach Nick. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a great episode today. We're going to talk about I Can't Believe Other People Don't Do This, Marathon Edition. We're going to give out some listener love. We're going to answer a question from the Between the Two Coaches mailbox. And of course, we're going to air some grievances around a certain marathon that just said some certain things that have people certainly having opinions, right?
You couldn't have been more clear. You could not have been more clear.
Yeah, definitely was not vague there at all. But I think we you know.
If
you
certainly do know, but we will get right into it. I think we got to talk first before we grieve, before we give the listeners some love. Let's give Coach Nick some love. Tell us about what happened this week. What did we do
today? My running's been feeling good again. It's not only been the weather, it's also been like not having a constant sore throat or strep for the second time or whatever, all the other stuff, right? But I ran a workout today, my first one in like 6 months, which, whatever, not a big deal, right? It's a workout, so it's cool. But like, for me, I started running back in my second act in 2010, and for about 14 years now, I've done a workout every week. Like, it's always been like, maybe I miss a long run or I don't do a workout my long run. I do a workout every week. It was just staple. That's how I started running as a high schooler and college kid. It's just, you do a workout, right? I was always doing it if I wasn't injured or sick or coming off a race. So these last 6 months of like really kind of de-stressing post like this annoying Achilles injury, and then just sort of like finding my way through running again, and then the intense heat just making me feel miserable with it. I just didn't do workouts. Like, I'd still do runs. I'd meet up my athletes and run with them. But like, today was the first day I did a workout for me, for Nick, and it went really well. I was really happy. I don't take splits, so I don't know splits, but it felt fun to rip around my little loop by my house and to do some fast stuff. And the weather was cooperative.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Well, congratulations. And it is a big deal because it's something that is a big deal to you. And so let's not discredit feeling good on a run. I think we have to normalize that it's the rule of thirds, right? I think that's the coaching philosophy.
There is a rule of thirds.
A third of your runs are going to feel good enough. It sounds like yours was good enough, even great. A third are just going to be fine, and then a third are going to be basura, aka trash. Okay, so way to go with the 33%.
Way to go. Yes. No, that was good, and it's good. It's good to get back on a rhythm of just doing workouts and like feeling that consistency again. And I'm excited. Yeah. So good day. Had an exciting weekend of a big trip that I know you're going to be excited to talk about. We went to the old Trader Joe's,
Joseph's home,
and we bought everything that had the word fall, pumpkin, or a picture of anything.
You're putting an explicit warning on this podcast, right?
Yeah,
because
this is sensitive right here. For those non-fall,
because there's no one here
one of them in the world
less than a fuck about your fall products. There's not a single person here. I'm just This is not
You
safe
are
for
the
children. I
one,
am the
only
one.
one.
I'm the one.
So, but we came
Okay,
back with a
so
haul.
just give us
We
very
got
quickly.
stuff done.
Try with the swiftness. Top
Ooh,
3 fall products. Go.
yes. They have a pumpkin cookies. They're like these like pumpkin shaped cookies. They come in like cream or like a pumpkin like
Orange hard
orange flavor.
glaze.
It's not like a hard glaze. It's like a icing type of top, but like the cookie's delicious and it has little those sprinkles, little dot sprinkles.
The
I forgot what they're called.
nonpareils.
Someone's gonna tell me.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, that
yeah.
was the word. I didn't want to say it wrong, but I thought it might be. They had a pumpkin swirl bread, which I made some brioche bread, and which I made some dynamite um, French toast with. That the kids begged me to make and immediately hated.
Oh.
But more for me.
I mean,
So
I'm heavy on the French toast. That sounded
I
actually
know French toast
legit. Yeah,
is
yeah,
my
yeah.
jam. And then we got pumpkin ice cream,
See,
and
that's where
we're devouring that.
you lost me.
Oh,
I'm
I lost
gone.
you.
You thought you found
We'll
me.
go back.
I'm
I got
lost.
fall harvest salsa.
Why?
Uh,
Why? Why? Why?
Cookie butter is really my top third.
Cookie butter
It's the best.
is not seasonal though.
Oh no, but if I'm in Trader Joe's, I am walking away with
Jars.
multiple containers of it. Yeah.
That's a fair and fine decision for you.
Big weekend for us in the Klostava family.
Joseph, if you're listening to
was,
this,
Yeah.
two big fans,
Yeah.
Joseph, and we're here when you need us.
Was your week? I saw you got a big long run in that you looked awesome.
My week was good. I'm gonna just keep it very brief. My week was good. My run was good. I hit multiple PRs. I am very
Yeah.
proud of myself, and
We're all proud of you.
I'm sure we all are. I am very proud of myself. I am heading into some final weeks of big work for me. And then little events will come up for me in the upcoming month. And then I'll get to sit my ass out.
That's a tease.
Sit my ass out, watch y'all run, period. That's a tease.
Tease in the radio biz. She put it out there. Something's happening, and we're
You
all
know me.
wondering.
I don't know if you know me, but I don't gatekeep information that is important for others, but this one's not important for y'all. So
we'll find out when Instagram tells us.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Yeah. So are we moving along?
Let's move it along.
I think we so you want to read off the listener love comments, Coach Nick, and then I'll share our professional reply to it.
Ooh, that sounds great. Yes, I will definitely do that. Coming in from the Between the Two Coaches inbox, which is monitored, and we do read, as evident by this. We got a question comment that talked about one of our recent episodes and mentioned one thing that I keep hearing mixed opinions on is fasted running. It seems like the research aligns with fasted training being a good thing in terms of fat oxidation, fat for fuel argument. There was a lot of other stuff in it, but that's the gist of the kind of question and comment. And so we reached out to an expert to get some answers.
We
right,
sure
Amanda?
did. So our BFFs, sports dietitians, Kylie and Stevie Lynn, and in case you missed it, they were on the Need or Nah series, the nutrition episode. And they are two very, very experienced sports dietitians in the space of not just running, but endurance sport. And I think that's important to mention here. So Stevie Lynn Smith, shout out to you and your response here. I'm going to give you guys the overview. What she shares is that we know that fat is not as efficient of a fuel source as carbohydrates are. There is research out there supporting the benefits of fasted training. Most of it is short term, stating the need for long-term research, and does not conclude that it'd be superior to fed training. She also mentions that fasting can't be approached and practiced in different ways, and the research is not as consistent there as well. A few of the studies that she was always seeing were supporting it looking at athletes fasting during Ramadan, which is something that she doesn't think we can extrapolate to the everyday athlete outside of that religious fasting period. She does also cite research here, so we'll be sure to. We're happy to respond to this listener with the research she cited, and basically what it says is what we already know, that there's a higher incidence of bone injury in elite athletes who practice fasted training. The practical side of things, in her experience in the many years that she's worked with endurance athletes, is that the common practice leads to a number of negative health and performance outcomes, including that increased injury risk, poor recovery, disordered relationship with food, blood sugar imbalances, digestive issues, hormonal imbalances as well. And she concludes, will a couple of fasted training sessions be the end all? No, but most endurance athletes are already falling short on their overall energy needs. And this is really low hanging fruit to make sure that you're not hitting low energy or low carbohydrate availability. Thank you so much, Stevie Lynn.
Thanks, Stevie. And I didn't say it earlier, but the question was from Mason Chan. So thank you for your question. It was a great question. It was great. We got a great answer. Stevie put some studies in here and other stuff. I'll try and add it to the show notes, so you guys can get them there. And yeah, I think it was a great answer, transcribed by our amazing co-host Amanda.
I basically just read it and said it in the Weeb form. But yes, if you aren't already following Stevie as well as Kylie, I highly recommend. And I'm being triggered a little bit right now because I just saw something on Threads asking, what's the longest you've ever not fueled a run? And I'm like, can y'all just stop going to Threads for nutrition advice and like start following some sports dietitians who provide a ton of free content and also are available for hire, aka Stevie and Kylie. So get it done.
Join their collectives where you can be a part of a group that every month you get tons of information and you get to talk with others in a forum that's monitored by someone to help you make sure no one's saying anything off the wall.
Correct. All right, let's I think we got a review. Is this 2 reviews? Did you put 2 in here?
No. It was 2, but one was just one sentence. But
okay. Reviews. It was love at first listen to me and this pod. I didn't even read that correctly. Amanda, by the way, it's right in front of me. Amanda and Nick are the greatest duo with the best dynamic and amazing personalities. I have absolutely loved and enjoyed every single episode. You can never stop. Thank you both for all that you do. Burpees and burp cloths, aka Trisha. Thank you, Trisha.
Oh, thank you,
and
Trisha.
One more from JK Chamb, here for the solid running advice, and Amanda Snark. Oh, that's
We're all here for Amanda Snark.
JK, I just love you. Thank you for that kind remark and review from both Trisha and JKC.
Thank you guys for the reviews. They help so much. Thank you for taking the time to write them and to rate and review the episodes. It helps us get found by others. It helps us.
A single 5-star review helps a child in the Upper West Side live out his dream. I'm talking about Bubba, my dog. Yeah. Oh, or me. It's either one.
Oh, yeah, or you.
It's so okay. All right. Ooh, we're moving along well. Grievance. Coach Nick, what are we grieving?
We're grieving the Boston Marathon, but I'm grieving it in many different ways and not the norm. So the internet's ablaze, right? And this happens. This is if you had a little like chart, it's like you are here now. It's like Boston releases, September information and people are upset. And then they'll be like what the cutoff is, they'll be upset. And then the jacket will be upset. And the race will be upset about the weather. And then we'll be, we'll have this little circle of like timeline of how we're upset throughout the year. And it's always like around this stuff. So the community's ablaze and I'm all over the place. So first off, we've reached peak engagement farming when it comes to the Boston Marathon. Go on Threads, go on Instagram. People are saying the things and they're saying it in a way that they don't really care what the response is. They just want you. They know it's a popular topic and they want it to blow up. So they're just asking ridiculous things like, oh, well, influencers are stealing all the bibs. What do you guys think about that? Or, just you're finding all this stuff now that's just put out there to incite anger and to get people talking and fighting with each other in the comments. So, of course, that means your post is good and it will get pushed to more people because so we've reached that point. This is a couple days, I guess a day later. It only took this time, but to talk about if you're under a rock of what happened, Boston released its new standards and they're 5 minutes faster. And
Now,
that
is it
makes
5 minutes
people
faster
feel a
across
certain.
every age range? Because some of them, there are bigger, okay,
Yeah.
bigger gaps, like 10-minute, 15.
When you go from like 44 to 45, you get 10 minutes, but that's always been the
Okay.
case. It
Do
wasn't.
they?
So it just
I
that
really
just
need to
moved.
ask. I really need
Yeah.
to, are they're just like, because they know they're that girl, are they just making this shit up as they go a little bit?
Well, I feel like they have. I mean, they might be. They also have 100 years of research, right? And even research of recent days where they could know how many people are in each range and male or female who are BQing in each age group. And so, to some degree, I'd hope they're taking that unlimited data they have and making conscious decisions
Okay.
based on that and not just like whatever we just here's a number, just pick it. So I don't know. I don't know what goes behind the
Mhm.
scenes, right? But this makes people feel a certain way, right? I think a lot of people have the goal of qualifying for Boston, and then sometimes that same goal isn't good enough until they race Boston and then also finish Boston. So sometimes people have 3 check marks, and some people are just happy when they qualify. I did it. I qualified. I didn't get in because of this ridiculous standard, but I made it. So sometimes the standard has to change, obviously, because I don't know what it's going to be this year, but hearing that it's a record amount makes me, and they just raised it 5 minutes, makes me definitely feel like, sorry if you're hearing this and you're under 5 minutes, but it's probably more than 5 minutes minimum. It was 7 last year, 6 something. So it's going to be a big number. And this helps because it's also stupid for people to run a race and go, I qualified. Let me find out if I'm in. Oh, I'm 7 minutes off,
Anyone who is not a
even
runner,
though I
when they hear
qualified.
this, like, I remember sharing
It
this
makes
with
no
my
sense.
dad, and he was like, I don't understand. I don't understand it. I'm like, neither does anyone else, and yet every year.
I just my thing around Boston always comes down to this. It's become this thing where it makes people feel like you're not a real runner, a real coach, a real part of the community until you've run Boston, right? Like if you haven't qualified, oh my god, like how are you going to give advice? Like somehow qualifying for the Boston Marathon makes you have better information than others, makes you feel. And so we all know that's
Right, because there's
incorrect.
so
It does not
many
matter what.
stupid people who also qualify for. I
Uh,
You can send
um,
all hate mail to me directly if you didn't think that was funny, but but it's true. Like, it's, running is for everyone, and that includes those who are uneducated. So I don't I don't know what you don't know any more than somebody else necessarily because you're faster, Jonathan.
your genetics don't make you a better coach or
Correct. More
influencer, part of the
talented. Right,
community.
right.
Like yes, some people work hard, but they also like you can't underestimate even hard work. Like finally firing off your genetics. Like people think of genetics as I start running first day and I run a PQ, so I'm genetically gifted. But it takes me 2 years. I just worked hard. Or your genetics needed you to work a certain amount of time in a different way in sport and learn and grow, and then your genetics kicked in. So genetics and like whatever, we're all genetics, we're all differently genetically blessed. And so that aside, it doesn't make you more important or more valid in the community. But like I was gonna say, we all know that like being qualified for Boston shouldn't be this litmus test of whether you matter or not. But many people weigh because of what they see and what goes on. And so when these numbers change, a lot of people get upset and feel like this goal isn't going to happen. They can't get there. And that makes me sad because a part of me was hopeful that Boston would eventually move in the way that New York City and Chicago and all the other world majors sort of do, which is we give away some spots to qualifiers. We have a tiny lottery. We have a charity. we have our sponsors, we have all these different ways, but like, it's not just if you don't hit this number by enough time, you're in. Like, there's other ways to get in this race. And yes, I know Boston has charity options, but those seem to sell out
And
like
it's
instantly
very
this year.
high.
Like everyone who didn't get in.
It's very high. It's quoted
So
$10,000 is like a very common minimum fundraise for that race. Like, and the way that folks in the comment section of Boston Marathon's post about receiving over 36,000 applications in the new standard, the way I had to stop myself, I'm like, you are not getting paid your hourly rate to educate people on the internet about why it is so damn hard to not just train for a marathon, not just continue to work your 9 to 9 p.m. job, not just to be a parent, but also on top of all that, to raise thousands of dollars for something you're passionate about. How stressful that collective fatigue is on not just your body, but who you are. I was like, take several seats, Bradley. Take several seats. It's embarrassing. I don't have the time.
yeah, it just brings out the
Yes.
Boston. It brings out the worst in everyone. You go if you haven't gone to the comment sections, I advise you
True.
not to. But if you want to, like you might laugh. You might also walk away with anger and see people writing
It
things
will
that they
probably
shouldn't
not
write.
restore your faith in humanity. So you can leave it alone.
No, and it's just we're always everyone's so angry on this thing. Oh, just work hard, just try harder, just train harder. You can do also like me, and it's like it's not how any of this works. Like, why do we have to put people down? Why do we have to make people feel inferior because of
Yep.
Boston? Right? It's just a race. There's hundreds, thousands of marathons every year. Like we don't have to. And then and then people then it brings into the whole downhill marathons and people are angry at people who qualify for that, and then it brings in the whole, well, sponsors give out bib opportunities to influencers. Like sponsors have been getting bibs
Yeah.
forever. Like we just because of Instagram wasn't always big, like they didn't always announce so and so's here on our behalf, and so people didn't get mad before. um and we just have a problem. There's a community problem with influencers always, but like them getting bibs to go run a race, there's nothing wrong with that. Like the sponsors are going to get their bibs either way. They're either going to give it, the CEO is going to give it to his son, who isn't even a runner and will run 6 hours, but the CEO's rich and the son's rich, so they'll go do it. And we're like, that's fine. CEOs should be able to give out free things to their family, but someone who worked hard to grow and a following and like gets to get an opportunity to run Boston, and we're like, oh no, we can't handle that. Like we want to shun those people. They don't deserve it. So this was always happening. I don't know why we're all up in arms now about it.
We have short-term memory. I think that's why.
We do.
So too long didn't read. That's that bullshit.
That's that bullshit.
All right. I think it's time to get into our topic today, which is I was inspired by a Reddit thread, and we're going to complete the sentence. We'll alternate. We should probably organize this as such where we're first talking about maybe training for the marathon and then marathon day. Do you think that's a good idea, Coach Nick?
We could do that. We can try and do that,
yes.
yeah.
So we're going to complete the sentence. I can't believe other people don't do this. And should I start? Okay.
You should.
Okay.
You're going.
Can't believe people don't start fueling their runs early enough. And on race day, they're waiting to feel like they need a gel, feel like they need carbohydrates. Or what I've seen recently is people only believing that they need a gel if they're running fast versus if they're just doing an easy run, they don't need fuel. Like they just have to wait to feel like they need fuel. Per our previous email on training and the importance of carbohydrates and making sure you are fed, please listen to that episode with Stevie and Kylie, as well as what we just said earlier about the importance of being fed in your training. And you may temporarily feel good being not fed, but your body is not feeling good.
And you can also, like, David Roach, my old coach, is out there doing the good work of talking about just inhaling carbs in training and racing after his Leadville record. And he's putting out a lot of information too around this same idea of like just fuel your body, never stop, keep going, keep going. It's everywhere. I mean, that this isn't, these are people who have success because they're doing the things right. And so, um, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like my point was also around this same, idea of like not practicing, why people don't practice fueling enough for hard efforts all training block, right? So it's not just so to go along with yours, making sure you're fueling early enough on long runs and a race day, but also all training, right? So I think people don't do a great job of thinking about how they're doing long runs, right? Like, so 18, 16, 18, 20 mile long runs, maybe your first time marathon, maybe you never run that far. Um, what are you doing the day before to prepare, right? Like, are you getting any more carbs? Are you having your dinner and having like throwing a cup of rice in your dinner? There's 30 grams of carb, right? How are we practicing it all training block, right? And so I find so much advice on carbo loading in the community comes out race week. So Chicago, Berlin's what, next week? So everyone will be out in the community and they'll be like, don't forget to carbo load this week. Download my free guide. Here's how much you need. Put in the calculator. Like, I've created this thing myself. Really, they haven't. They've used whatever. I won't go down that road. But like, use my product. My product will save you. Where was all this advice for the last 16
Correct.
weeks you've been training, right? Like, no, so they're not hearing it, and so they're not doing it. And then they show up race week, and someone's like, "Oh, eat 30 bagels, and you will run a PR." And it's like, "Oh, I don't eat bagels ever. I didn't really.
Oh,
I don't
now
for
I
whatever
have to
reason.
wear a
Maybe
diaper
maybe
on
I'm
my marathon because I didn't
yeah."
practice any of this in my training.
Like, your long runs were probably feeling crappy too. Like, and if you don't, also, let's not throw off, remember, nothing new on race day, right? If you don't carbo load or put in extra carbs before your 18, 16, 20 mile long runs, and then you fuel it up, your fueling will probably be different than on race day when you do all this extra stuff and you walk in with a storage of fuel to pull off, and then all of a sudden your body just acts differently on race day because it's like, well, I used to take a gel at this time, I used to be hungry, I'm not because I'm like stored up. Like, you need to be practicing this stuff all training block, not just waiting for race week to carbo load, not just figuring out your fueling during the run, but the day before, and sometimes maybe even for those longer, bigger efforts, 2 days before, just adding in the stuff. And not only that, because you can practice what foods work well with your stomach too, right? Like, it's not just figuring out race week. What am I going to eat a lot of? Let me just pick random carbs, some that are full on fiber, but like now I'm eating 5 of them when I used to eat one, and now I'm having GI distress. Like, all training block, if you're practicing the foods that you love and having them in quantity for your long runs, then a race week, it's just simple. Have more of those. So people don't implement this early enough in. They don't do the work to prepare themselves before and after long runs. And then their long runs sometimes are sporadic. Some's good, some bad. We don't know. They don't know why. And then race week, they're just jumping into a carbo load plan because some Instagrammer said download and follow this.
Well said. Should I? Yeah, I think I'll move on to the next one since we got a couple of our bullet points out of the way. I think that we can head into just a Tregway segue from what you said about testing out anything on race day. We to complete the sentence, I can't believe other people are wearing new clothing, wearing new shoes on race day. It always surprises me, but yet again, we know what we know, and this is how we learn. I, as y'all know, am affiliated with Brooks. I run for Brooks Running Company, and I will often share the shoes I'm running in. They may not work for you, but I just love to share the gear that works well for me with my followers. And the amount of people who ask me like, "Oh, so the race day shoe that you're wearing at whatever race you're doing, half marathon, marathon, when should I be wearing it before. Should I be wearing it before? And I'm like, yes, girl, put put those shoes on. You got to practice. You have a long run. You have a workout during your week. Great. Let's put those on. Maybe you want to walk around the house with them. Some people have a little ritual where they like to walk around before they take them out. Then you want to put them on for a long run, maybe with a workout. That would be a good place. I would highly recommend you try absolutely nothing new that day. You do not need the additional stress of, oh my goodness, I thought this bra was going to carry 4 gels and it looks like I can fit 2 max. This is not something we want to play with when you're already nervous that morning.
What I give athletes is I give them a dress rehearsal, usually for their big long run 3 weeks out, and I write like, do everything you're gonna do, have your normal dinner, like, and if you haven't thought of what your normal dinner
Now's
is,
the time.
figure it out because you should probably know that. Tortellinis, and then have your normal race day breakfast, and like whatever that is, find a way to bring it to yourself for the race or buy it if you're somewhere where you're not local, and then put on your race day outfit and race day shoes and go do your run and learn everything you can about your outfit and your routine. So on race day, you can feel much more comfortable that you've already done all this. And if something happens that day, then it's like, oh, okay, it's an outlier, but you did the things, and you didn't just show up race day with your new shirt that you bought at the expo and the new shoes that someone in the expo told you will make you run 7% faster. So you're like, I'll just put those on. Some new socks because they're the whatever the flag of the state you're in, Maryland flag stuff. And then you're like, here's my outfit. I've never worn it, but I'm ready. And it's like, oh, I got blisters and my feet hurt and I got a stress fracture. No, you wouldn't get a stress, but I'm just
You just went
from the
to,
shirt.
yeah, from the shirt that you never wore before. Never wore before.
Definitely chafing though, like that. That's what I'm trying to get out of my outfits, is figuring that out before
Yeah, I've
it
seen
becomes the
some.
worst.
I have to. I've gone through some things that's not a thing that I've gone through, and I've seen some. I've seen some bloody nipples on on that course, and y'all better get that set before. Whatever you need, the Body
Yeah.
Glide, the Vaseline, Shea Butter Blessed. I don't care.
Squirrel nut
Oh,
butter.
you like
That's
you
what I
like
use. Rub
that?
it all over. Yeah.
Great. You guys are getting
Uh,
all the info.
we did it. Yeah, all the stuff. I'll hit it. I can't believe other people don't break away from the concept that I need to learn marathon pace by constantly running it. I have heard this most of my running career, that people want to just run marathon pace so they can learn it. They want to run like just many marathon pace miles or keep increasing the length, and they're just going to learn the pace on race day. It'll just naturally come to them. No, marathon pace isn't just another effort to train constantly, just to run it and get in your head too fast or too slow. Like, don't get in your head that like if you don't run marathon pace exactly to the number of your goal, like if it's too slow or too fast, somehow it's detrimental. That's just training, right? Like your body doesn't understand a number. It doesn't learn. Say you're running 3:30 pace, 8 minutes on the dot. It doesn't go, okay, well, we've run a lot of 8 minute pace, so now I've learned and I'll dial this in on race day. Like your body knows stress, right? And that's all it knows. And so, you're not, so many people don't have enough variety in their training block. It's just marathon pace all the time, just marathon pace. There's no threshold pace, there's no speed, there's no intervals or faster. These are all parts of your training block. They all have significant purpose in even a marathon build. And when you just stick to the mindset of, I have to learn this marathon pace and I don't want to like, some of the things I might do to runners is like, do marathon pace and then like, let's say it's 4 mile block, 3 miles at marathon pace, one at threshold, then a little break, and then flip it around, 1 mile at threshold, three at marathon pace, right? So instead of it just being this consistent thing that someone can feel comfortable with, now it's a, go run this pace and then speed it up and then keep that speed after a little break and then slow down, and like learning the different efforts, right? So what you really want to learn is how things feel, right? Like, how does speed feel? How does threshold feel? How does marathon pace feel? They should all feel different. If you're only running one pace, that's what you become. you just become that pace and you don't have the speed to accompany it, and everything becomes harder. And so, I there's this obsession with marathon pace as the only way to train for a marathon, and it is something I push against with all my athletes. It's something I push a ton of threshold work in marathon builds, especially with shoes, because super shoes have sort of helped recovery, and it helps people train at a level they couldn't before, if they're using them right. But like that said, it's people can handle and they can do more when you mix in threshold work, and we don't need to go run 15, 16 miles at marathon pace. We can do a lot less if we mix in threshold. So that's my big thing, is just trying to get people away from thinking there's only one pace to train for a marathon.
I liked that one. That is a good piece of advice for runners and coaches. I will go next. I don't believe people. I think I've just messed up our own phrase for this podcast title. I can't believe people aren't tapering. What are you doing? What are you doing? And on top of that, they're not, I mean, taking a step further, they're not incorporating deload weeks in their training. We spoke to Dr. Stacey Sims. We've spoken about this in length. Deload weeks, cutback weeks are very important. Cited research suggests every 3 weeks we take a deload week, and you can work with your coach to see what that will look like specifically for you. But I also am, I was just pulling up the study, so I had it. Shout out to our dear friend and my co-coach, Elizabeth. She posted something about the pre-race taper, right? And the study that she cited, I always love to share with my athletes. A 2021 study of 158,000 marathoners found that 64% of recreational runners did not adopt a disciplined taper for their race, and that runners who did ran an average of 5 minutes and 32 seconds faster.
A lot of minutes.
You better taper. 2 to 3 weeks is what I will generally recommend based on the individual runner and their history. For marathons specifically, since that's what we're talking about here. Anything you would add to that, Coach Nick? And you got to eat. You got to eat during your taper. That's the other thing I was going to say.
Oh yeah, dude. You gotta do that. And you gotta, yep. Two things I'll add to that are deload weeks, down weeks. Like I see a lot of people who, coaches and athletes who build their plans that it's constant build, and just build for 14 weeks, call it a marathon build. Every week they'll just sort of build on last week. Maybe they'll start a little lower in mileage, I did air quotes there, and then build up to max mileage, and then sort of like maybe have a tiny little taper, but build in no down weeks. That plan is a house of cards, because the second something happens in your life or stress is too much, it all collapses. That's the reason to have down weeks. It's because we're all human beings with complicated lives. So sometimes we need it even if we don't think we need it. So it's just more risky to build in a build where we just constantly build on each week, and we don't have that period where we can sort of deload. And for coaches, it's much easier to put in training. You can go a lot harder for 3 weeks if we know we have a down week and a deload week for athletes, versus like trying to fine tune this thing around their life stress and everything else for 12 to 14 weeks. When it comes to taper, the other thing I like to employ in the taper is just, that's where I like to put a little bit of speed in. Let's get away from the slower stuff. You're going to feel a little better, so let's take advantage of it. But I think the other thing people really worry about taper is just feeling crappy. And they can't trust that their fitness will come around, and that because they're used to, let's say 80 miles a week, and the taper now they're doing 60. Let's say they cut it by, that many percents, because I can't do math at this hour. And now they're like, oh, I feel so crappy. I just need that mileage back. I'm going to amp it back up. And it's like, no, your body needs this. We're getting you ready for race day. We don't care how we feel 12 days out. Like that's not the measure. That's not the point of reference here. It is getting you to feel great for race day by loading, by following science that tells you how much to sort of deload, and then factoring in the athlete themselves. And that's what we're getting you for race day. So you feel great. So you're not going into race day in a constant level of, stress from all the training and like trying to do it with that on top. You're trying to get rid of all that. So that's why it feels a little weird in the taper, but it is working.
It's the taper magic. Moving it along to, should I do, oh, this one? Okay. So these are, I have two more that are before marathon, and then one that is day of. Okay, so I
Okay.
saw this on Threads and I commented on it, and I want to just make sure it's clear. I cannot believe people are allowing, they're out of, if you're, let's say you're running the New York City Marathon, friends, okay? Setting the scene for you. Your Aunt Jane and Uncle Jordan from New Hampshire are coming into town because they want to cheer you on. And you weren't thinking with your brain. You're letting them stay in your house or your one bedroom apartment on the couch. Your marathon weekend. No, we're not doing that. I'm sorry. I don't know if this may sound like an opinion, but this is a fact. That weekend should be protected at all costs. Your peace, your sanity, the least amount of stress that you can put on your body and your brain at all costs. They can stay somewhere else. They can stay somewhere else. And specifically on, oh, it was a Reddit thread. And it was under the Reddit. They have a group. It's the acronym for "Am I the asshole?" And and the runner said, "Am I the asshole for not wanting my boyfriend's parents to stay with us the weekend that I'm running our city's marathon?" And I had to remind this person. I said anonymously, I was like, "No, you are not the asshole. They can stay somewhere else. And if your boyfriend doesn't like it, it's time to break up."
You can
He
stay somewhere
can
else
stay
too.
somewhere else too. Yes.
Wait, AITA is "Am I the asshole"? I always
What
see
did
that.
you what did you think it what did you yes.
AITA, right? I don't know. I just
AITAH.
see
They
it
actually
pop up.
use the H there.
Oh, okay. Then maybe I've seen something else. I've seen that. I've seen that on Threads. I just like I wouldn't click on them. I never know what it meant. So now I've learned something new. No, I agree. I think um, that weekend. I don't do a lot of hometown marathons, so I've never had like the thing where like I'm here and my family's coming to visit me for that. Like if I'm going somewhere else, then I'm always having my own place, and most likely I'm telling everyone find your own place
Right.
because this is my race. But if I'm not racing it all out, then I'm like, everyone stay with me. We'll have a giant party. Because
You're
then it doesn't
so
matter.
special.
But I, well, I don't know
You
if I'm
are.
special. I'm just cool. I'm
You are.
cool.
I'm not cool. I'm not cool. I'm the opposite of cool.
But no, but like I'm doing that if the race isn't like I'm not caring about the race. Like I'm just doing a marathon for like that's what I'm saying. Not if I'm like if it's like a real if I'm like trying to run my best race, I'm
To be
protecting my peace.
fair, I don't even share a bathroom with my husband. So, and I live in a New York City apartment. So that's where I live. Okay. All right.
He goes outside and you use the bathroom.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
We have two bathrooms in this apartment. Yes,
That's it.
you heard me right. I invest in the things that are important, and it's my space in a New York City apartment. That these are the facts. Um, so that would be my final. Oh, I have one more pre race, but let me let Nick
Well, I'll do
go.
mine because it's sort
Yeah.
of like ooh
Ooh.
yes because it's sort of along the
Yes.
lines. So I can't believe other people like you know I can't believe other people don't do this like where they like where they don't sacrifice their life for training, right? So like I'll say it this way, right? So I see so many joke memes all the time on social media where people are like, "Oh, I don't go out anymore, or I don't see my friends anymore because I'm marathon training. I'm too tired to do anything." And they people love them. They're funny, haha. But I think like the reality is some they may come across as jokes, but a lot of people generally feel this way about marathons. And these are people who run marathons. This is the only race they run. They'll run a marathon, then they'll run another marathon, then they'll do another build. So it's not like it's like, oh, I'm doing a marathon. So for this like 3 or 4 months, I'm protecting myself, and then I'm gonna, do another race and I'm gonna enjoy my life. It's like all I run is marathons, but I'm always tired and I never want to go out anymore because I have a long run on Saturday, so I can't go out on Friday. I can't see my friends. It's like joke, 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 but it's like haha. But I'm also serious, and I feel like marathon is a big time commitment. Don't get me wrong, but like we don't have to. Like, and I say this all the time. We don't have to sacrifice everything you love in pursuit of your goals, right? Like especially if you're just going to only run marathons and like follow this joke around, um, because what ends up really happening, and these people everyone gets to this point. You may have some success in the marathon, it's fine and dandy, but you get to a point where you're hitting a wall at the marathon, because we all get there and we have to push harder, we have to train a lot to get past this barrier when we didn't earlier on, and then we don't PR. But we think to ourselves, "Oh, I sacrificed everything. I didn't go out for 14 weeks. I didn't, see my friends. I haven't gone out with my family. I haven't done anything fun. But and I didn't PR. Like, why?" And then like happens again, and all of a sudden it's like, well, I'm just not going to run marathons anymore. Maybe I'm not going to run anymore because it's too much of a commitment. I have to sacrifice too much to reach my goals. That was your
Yes.
choice. Like, I don't know where you got. Maybe someone said it to you that if you're not sacrificing enough, you don't care, and you believed it. But like, you have an active choice in how much you sacrifice while pursuing your goals. My best seasons, when I've run my PRs, I I was balanced. Like, I wasn't imbalanced. I mean, like, I wasn't going out and ripping it in town every night. I never really did in my life. But also, like, I wasn't just doing nothing. I wasn't like sitting at home every day, like just laying on the bed, thinking, not moving, resting every ounce of my body so I could be prepared for the next run. It might be a Friday night, and my friends are like, "Hey, we did a run today. Why don't we go to a brewery and have some beers?" And I'd be like, "Cool." Like, or just socially hang out with people. I don't have to drink, but like go out with friends and bring some goodness into my
Yes.
soul. I was doing that while training for CIM back in 2018. I was having fun in my life and training, and again, fun can be whatever you want it to be. I'm not telling you fun has to be go out and drink a ton and come home at 4 in the morning. If that's what you like, I'm not gonna say that. Whatever.
Yeah.
If whatever you like and enjoy, that's your fun, right? So don't cut that out every time you train for a race and then end up sacrificing so much that you burn out and don't love the sport.
Totally. I'm with you on that, and I think that this season of my life, I have felt incredible moments of achievement in my training that have given me a lot of confidence in myself. And I also know that I have a record high this season of saying yes to activities that were not related to running, with my friends, with my family. I'm seeing my family more than ever before. Literally,
Yes.
with I don't. For those of you who don't know, I'm sober, and I'm still like, hey guys, do you want to go to happy hour? And I'm getting a seltzer with lime, and I'm sitting it out on a Friday night, and we're having a grand old time. And I know that I perform best when I sleep, so I'm like, all right, guys, we started at 5. I'm gonna head out. It's so. But you adapt, right? You adapt, and saying yes to things outside of running keeps you in the game longer. I think that was great. That was a great tip for our runners of all distances. So we went over that. We went over that. Great. Okay. I have 2 more things. The first is going to be quick. This is pre race. And this is really, I think, any destination race. You want to scope out wherever you're staying, if it's a hotel, an apartment, etc. What's the food prep situation? Do we have a fridge? Do we have a microwave? Because it is in your best interest to know that you have a place to prepare food in the event you're commuting close enough to from your home to your destination to maybe bring your familiar race evening dinner with you, right? And you got to have a place to store that. So contacting the hotel beforehand for that. Of course, knowing how far wherever you're staying is from the start and the finish. Also, my other tip is to scope out the grocery store slash pharmacy situation in your wherever you're staying's area. And do you want to interrupt me? Do you have any comments about what I just said before I go into day of?
Oh, I do have comments, but you can
You
keep
want me to keep
going.
going? Well, I have just 2 more things, and this is more like marathon weekend.
Oh,
Go
then I'll
ahead.
hop in. I was just gonna say along those lines of like one of the advice I tell athletes is when you're doing it like, oh, maybe this goes to your destination. Go on.
Bring your carbohydrates, your gels, your race day outfit. Put it in the carry-on, by the way. Do not check those girls, okay? Put it in the carry-on. You want me to keep going? What was your thought?
I was just gonna say, yeah, I was okay. I was gonna say, one of the things I tell people is, especially for destination races, like along with being prepared, is like, if you're in a new place, like make sure you are bringing your food and snacks with you all day, right? Like, so you do a big world major, like say Chicago, for example, and you get up in the morning and maybe you do a shakeout, and then you grab a bite, and you go back to the room and you change, and then you go to the expo, and then you walk around for a little bit because the expo's out pretty decent way outside downtown, and you get back, and then you like maybe walk around for a tiny bit. Next thing you know, it's 5 o'clock and you're going to dinner, and like that's a long time. That day goes by real fast. And even if you're like sitting down at the expo and like trying to get off your feet, bring your snacks. Like this is a day where you're supposed to be carb loading, and when you're doing stuff in cities, sometimes it's easy to forget to eat, drink throughout the day. Like you might have your breakfast, you might have your lunch, and you might have your dinner. But in between, like if you're walking around in places or doing things and you don't have snacks with you, and this isn't a local place, like where you just hop back home and relax, sometimes you forget. So I always remind athletes for destination races: bring all your snacks, bring in a bag, bring them with you all day, bring water, bring electrolytes, drink, eat, and hydrate all day long while you're doing your
As
stuff.
early as possible, I also recommend to go to the expo. So like, let's say if your expo is Thursday through Saturday, right? For the majors, it's like generally 3 days. For some smaller races, it's the day before or even day of. Get to the expo as early as possible and get the hell off your feet. Okay. You
Yep.
go, if it opens Thursday before your race at 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., go on Thursday, please. Like, let's give your body the opportunity to really soak in all those taper time golden nuggets. Okay. So that would be that for marathon weekend. And the last thing I would probably say is related to the bathroom. I would say what we see a lot of, and this is just like, these are humans. These are the same, in my opinion, you can file them under the same humans who stand up immediately when when a plane lands. They're like,
Gotta get
got
out
it.
first.
Same humans go through the security at the marathon and they're going to the first porta potties. Same guys. Okay. If you feel called out, it is what it is. You are who you are. Be you, but maybe be someone else. Okay. Be someone else. Walk a little further down. There are more toilets for you. Likely.
Yeah. Yeah, and so like other places, like there's definitely, yeah, there's other scattered places for porta potties that some people aren't aware of. So definitely be getting to know.
Anything else you want to add before we stop this train?
No, I think we covered it all. I think it was a good list of marathon edition related things. I liked it. I learned
As long
things.
as you like it, that's really all that matters to me.
I appreciate that. Subtle
No,
sarcasm.
it's real though, to be honest. To be honest. Well, Coach Nick and I, thank you so much for joining us on this marathon edition podcast episode. I think that there are pieces of this episode at every runner and anyone who's training for a big event. Doesn't have to be a marathon, it could be high rocks, right? You'll get something out of this episode. Share it with a friend, give it 5 stars. We hope you enjoyed our conversation. And as always, you can reach out to us at betweentwocoaches@gmail.com. And we'll see you next time.